go, yo. Here we go. Here we go, yo. One time for your mind. You know we ball all day. Just know we talk ball all day. Welcome to the full court press. Full court press. We got Danny Thompson on the mic, so just chill with the set. Ball all day. Just know we talk ball all day. Welcome to the full. We are back for hour number 2 of Full Court Press Radio, sponsored by SOFOELC, live here at the Flame Broiler down here on Church Street. 407-916-8255. Or, Scott, what's the phone number nationwide?
800-729-TALK.
Exactly. So, myself, Paul Myers, Marc Johnson, and Zach Oliver is going to check in with us in just a second. But before we get down to business in hour number 2, Paul?
Yeah, definitely. We want to do a quick shout-out to our resident daily fantasy basketball expert, or guru, if you will, Jay Waddell. Just found out today that he's having a little girl with his beautiful wife, Megan. So congratulations to you guys. We're very happy for you, and we look forward to having Jay on next week. So congratulations from all of us.
Yeah, yes, Jay has now pretty much joined me and Paul because we both have daughters as well, too.
Yeah.
As you know, on the firing squad. So if you need any advice, Jay, trust me. Paul's my goddaughter McKenna's 5 now, Paul?
Yeah, problems.
And my daughter Genevieve, who's running around the restaurant because she's amped up on sugar, is going on to but the age of 27 in her mind, basically.
Yeah.
Marc, you got any advice for Jay as he goes into the part of parenting? Because you have plenty of nieces and nephews.
Yeah, 5 nieces. The little ones, they get their way. That's how it goes. I can't really help them, but they get their way.
Marc, you said it all.
Give them the princess crown, the tiara, and there you go.
You said it all, brother.
Speaking of crowns, our guest for the next segment here, he is the guy who is the king of everything Orlando Magic. He is the editor of Orlando Pinstripe Post and talks everything Orlando Magic, but also he can also speak some stuff on the NBA as well, too. Our good friend, checking in tonight, Zach Oliver, live with us. Zach, what's going on, sir?
What's up, y'all? Who's got the shotgun getting cleaned on the porch first?
Yeah, that would be me. Mine's 5, so I have the upper hand right now.
And then I'll just use Paul's afterwards.
Yep.
Unless Marc has any extra ones I can use. So, Zach, we've been off the air for the last couple of weeks, and a lot of things have gone on with the Orlando Magic. At one point, the Magic are considered one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference. I mean, in the standings, it's like this is completely different than we saw in training camp. So, in about 45 seconds, what have you seen in the first quarter of the Magic season to give this city hope?
Well, first of all, thank you for adding the caveat of in the standings, because I don't think that anybody was really thinking that they were one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference. Improved, sure, but there's still a lot of work that this team needs to put in. They're still really inconsistent offensively, and their defense, which they want to be their backbone, still falters at times. But overall, I think it's been pretty successful. They had a really rough stretch to start the season, which we talked about multiple times right around the start of the season. And, there's the improvements there. I think Scott Skiles has done a good job. But, the next 2 weeks, they play 8 of the final 9 games. 8 of their next 9 are at home. So okay. And they finish the calendar year out like that. So
that's a good way to finish it.
That's how you go and you turn your season around and maybe really turn into a playoff team.
Right.
So, first off, who is the MVP for the Magic in the first quarter of the season, in your opinion, Zach?
Ooh. I think it's a 1A and 1B kind of. I think that 1A is Evan Fournier because of the way he played for the first 10, 15 games of the season. But 1B is going to be Elfrid Payton. Once they made the lineup change, inserting Channing Frye and moving Victor Oladipo to the bench, Elfrid's been a completely different player. I mean, he's really been their best player for the last 10 to 12 games, putting up big numbers pretty much every night. So I think it's a tie, but if I had to pick one, I'm probably leaning Evan Fournier because he can, even though his offense has taken a little bit of a nosedive of late, he's still impacting the game by playing some solid defense.
Hey, a question. Magic, they started out very foul-prone at the beginning of the season. How is that coming along? Are they getting better and not using their hands as much defensively and using their feet more?
I think to a certain extent they still do struggle some with defending and fouling. But, it's one of those things that a young team has to go through. The schemes that they're running, are helping. It also really depends on who they're playing. Because if you're playing a team like Cleveland, and you've got a guy like LeBron who's going to get to the line 12, 14 times, and that kind of, raises the bar a little bit. But they're getting better, but there's still work to do.
All right, so let's talk about this, because I think as a Magic fan, myself included, as Magic fans, I should say, we're kind of looking for that next step. Is there a move to be made for the Magic that can get them more in that direction? Because at this point, it's not heading up. It's just kind of staying still. So what is that move that you think could get them going?
I think that's really tough.
Right.
Because today, I believe, today's December 15th, so pretty much everyone who signed is
right. That was where the question came from. Yeah.
So, you've got a bunch of guys who now are available to be traded, but who is really out there that is obtainable for the Magic without having to give up one of those big pieces?
Let me throw one at you then, okay. Since you're kind of not sure. And this has been mentioned. What about a Nerlens Noel? And obviously, there's going to have pieces thrown in to match salaries. But we'll just talk the big names: Nerlens Noel and Victor Oladipo, because that's been something that's been mentioned.
I don't think Philadelphia does it.
No,
really.
I think that Noel's part of their future. So I don't think that they do that. And at the same point, I don't know if the Magic do that, because I don't know if Noel and Vucevic can play together. This was the same feeling that I had going into this past draft with Willie Cauley-Stein and Vucevic.
Right.
Because, look, Nerlens is fine offensively, but he's still pretty limited. Vooch can step out and hit that 15 to 18-footer, but having those two big guys out there is still going to hurt the spacing. They need a floor spacer like they have with Channing Frye right now.
Okay.
Zach, here's a question. What about the return of Ryan Anderson? Because we all know the Pelicans have put Ryan Anderson on the market now.
I think that ship sailed. We saw that this was the leadership group led by Rob Hennigan who, sent Ryan Anderson to the Pelicans in a sign and trade. Obviously times are a lot different, because I think that Ryan Anderson, with whatever they were doing before, probably adds a few wins and potentially hurts their lottery chances some, which is what they were focused on for the last few years. So is it possible? Sure. Do I think it's likely? No, I think that ship's kind of sailed. But I think Rhino is still a really good trade asset, and he's going to get moved. So
exactly.
Yeah. In your opinion, who's been the biggest disappointment on the Magic so far in the first quarter of the season?
Ooh, biggest disappointment.
Is it stuff?
Well, I mean,
or the halftime shows?
The Magic's in-game ops. I know we're boys with DMC, but their in-game ops are rough.
Okay.
The halftime shows are pretty bad.
Yeah. Of course, I hate fun, so, But, man, I think Aaron Gordon's been slightly disappointing.
From the summer league showing he had. I agree.
Of course, he was also coming back from a jaw injury, and he missed some time in preseason, but he hasn't taken that step so far. I know he's still kind of a rookie in a roundabout way, since he only played about half the season last year after breaking his foot, but they need more out of him. So if there's anybody that's disappointing, I'm going to say Aaron. And, I'll toss Mario Hezonja out there, too. Mario's just kind of struggled to get on the court because he's a rookie. And they have depth at the positions that he plays. Scott Skiles said after the loss to the Cavaliers on Friday night that they wanted to kind of get Mario in there, let him run some backup point guard with C.J. Watson still nursing a calf injury. And Mario talked to us after the game and said that the one is his primary position. That's what he grew up playing, and that's what he was used to playing. So I think that you could say him, too, because he hasn't, that learning curve hasn't been as short as some thought it might be, since he's been a professional since he was 11.
Right.
But, I think those two, are probably my biggest disappointments so far.
All right, so
Danny's giving me this look like I'm crazy, so I kind of want to know who he thinks.
the biggest disappointment for the Magic so far this season is the play of Elfrid Payton. Payton's been so up and down.
Not recently,
it's been up and down. Because
I got to go with Vucevic.
It's been the up and down play of Payton because I'm expecting Payton.
Have you watched Elfrid play the last 12 games?
I was going to say, he's been playing well.
Like I said, it's the up and down.
But sure, okay.
Vooch has been not what he was last year.
Here's the thing with Elfrid, too. He was rough for the first, 10, 12 games of the season.
Yeah.
He missed the last 2 weeks of preseason. Yeah. He's still trying to learn a new offense and where players are going to want the ball in that offense. Well, but once he's gotten more comfortable in the offense, he's been really good.
Yeah. Well, there was that stretch of time where Skiles benched him and brought him back in. It's the growing pains. I expected the same thing for Payton that Oladipo has not given me. I expected them to take it to the next level because it's like this. The Magic pieces are the backcourt. So that's what I'm thinking that, those two have to be the strongest two players in the team. I know Vucevic has been up and down, but Payton and Oladipo are those guys. I have another guy's opinion online from our good friends at Hoop Culture. Our good friend David Morris is probably going to hang out with us for the rest of the segment, as well as Zach is going to hang out with us as well, too. David, tell us your opinions on the most disappointing player on the Orlando Magic team right now. And then we're going to talk a little about Hoop Culture and then get Zach in as well, too, to talk more about the Magic.
Well, I haven't heard anybody mention it, but Mr. Fry.
Yeah, you think Channing Frye has been I can see that.
I mean, everyone expected a lot more out of him, and there was a lot of hype around him.
What were you expecting out of him?
I was expecting, a valuable asset. You know what I mean? Some management skills, for him to manage and operate the team.
I think that Channing's been a little bit of a disappointment, sure.
I see where he's going.
But at the same time, his insertion into the lineup has completely changed Elfrid Payton. So he's still having an impact on the game, even if he's not scoring. I think that his defense has been better this year.
True.
Yeah, I don't think numbers tell the whole story. If you might be looking at the box score, and of course you look at the box score, you're not going to be impressed with what he's doing. But I think Zach kind of alluded to it. It's not necessarily box score things that he's doing. So I think he's doing okay. Do I think he's been a disappointment from when they initially brought him in? Yeah, I do.
To replace Ryan Anderson? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They brought him in to replace Ryan Anderson, and he hasn't
2
been
years
that,
later.
But Elfrid, he's been doing this thing. He's just young. He has to grow into it. You know what I mean? He's getting a lot better. Fournier's been playing really great. I expect big things. They will make the playoffs.
Oh, look at there. That was a bold one.
They will make the playoffs.
It's not an if or a man or but. That was a will.
And then just to let you know, my man Dennis, he's prepping for the halftime shows now. He's literally over.
Thank you.
He's literally over at Amway trying on Star Wars costumes. That's why he couldn't be here.
Nice.
Well, tomorrow's Star Wars night.
Yeah, they're excited.
For the Charlotte.
Good, because obviously something's got to, because if the Magic organization is listening to us, I know Zach is pretty much prevalent there all the time, and I'm there as much as I can, but they got to do something with the halftime shows. Like, I mean, you only can have Red Panda on so many times during halftime.
Let's be honest, though. What do you do during halftime?
Get a beer.
That's it, man. You get a brew. You go to the bathroom. You grab a hot pretzel. You know what I mean? It's really not that big.
Give me mascot. Give me mascot basketball. Give me something that's like entertaining. If I don't want to stand in that 45-minute line to go to the bathroom or grab a beer, and I'm sitting in my seat watching Red Panda, there's nothing wrong with Red Panda, but if I see it 15 times at a 42-game home season.
She only comes once,
It seems like it's every home game.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I
that's
think they need
a
to get
general
up to Philly.
gist.
Philly has a great halftime show because they
have to. That's what you watch for the 76ers. You don't watch the 76ers game. You watch halftime.
Basically, it's a fashion show without fashion. It's a fashion show for cold people, but
fashion show for cold people.
It's pretty much what it is.
Man, the Sixers have become a mockery this year. It's pretty bad.
And we're going to talk about the Sixers in the next segment because I know, Mark, a lot of stuff has happened with the Sixers in the last week and a half, especially with Jerry Colangelo.
They won a basketball game.
They beat the Fighting Kobe's, and they actually won. But Dennis's team is one of the teams that are actually one of the hotter teams in the NBA, which is the Indiana Pacers.
Yes, sir.
We mentioned Paul George earlier as one of the top 10 players in the NBA.
That guy's got a great first name, by the way.
Paul George?
Yes.
Shocking that you would say that.
Paul George is the truth.
Here's a question, Debo.
His first name says it all.
Since you are a Pacers fan, what has been, besides Paul George, the best thing about the Pacers so far in the first quarter of the season?
I want to say